Good evening and peace and blessings be upon you all. My name is Wagma Moman, the co-founder and director of United in Service for Humanity. It is a local nonprofit humanitarian organization aimed at helping the oppressed, in need, and underserved population here in Salt Lake City. I thank you all for joining us today to not only remember the precious lives of Dia, Razan, Yusr, Mustafa, and Abdi Samad, but to embrace the living and ensure such people are not snatched away from us again. Every group, race, religion, or culture has their Diyas and Yusrs. Labels, biases, and prejudice invalidate all of our accomplishments and who we are. We are so much more than a label. We all have dreams and ambitions. We all have souls that make us unique and hearts that feel love, joy, and pain. But why can't some people recognize this? Why do some people make up their mind about us in a split second of meeting us, or even before they have even met us? Razan and Yusr knew how to live life, yet it was snatched away from them by someone who judged them before even knowing them. Sounds like we are living in a dangerous world. A world that allows for such behavior. I don't know why people choose to hate and judge, but I do know is that if we stand together against hate, we will win. I stand in front of you today simply as a human being with no labels attached, asking to hold your hand in solidarity against all forms of discrimination. Discrimination ruins lives. It kills, and it is very real. We are standing today at the steps of an institution which represents the American ideals of equality and justice for all. Let's make a promise to each other that today we will stand up with each other, not only in times of need, but all the time, to prove to the world that we are strong and that hate and ignorance will not tear us apart.
Assalamu alaikum. May peace and blessings be upon you. My name is Zuhaib. I am one of the directors at Islamic Society of Greater Salt Lake. Thank you very much for gathering here tonight. We gather here this evening to commemorate the lives of Dia Barakat, Yusra Abu Salha, and Razan Abu Salha, who were mercilessly assassinated 2 weeks ago at Chapel Hill. Even though this vigil is for Chapel Hill victims, we must also mourn the deaths of Mustafa Matan in Ottawa, who was killed a day earlier in his apartment complex, and 15-year-old Abdus Samad Hussein, who was killed in Kansas 2 months ago while leaving his mosque. While we mourn their deaths, we should also celebrate their lives. I've never met these people, but I feel that Dia is my brother, and Yusra and Razan are my sisters. Dia was 23. He was a second-year dental student. Yusr was 21 and had just gone accepted into dental school and was about to start this fall. Yazan was 19 and she was doing her architecture major and was a sophomore. These people were not just bright and ambitious, they were also real human beings that had a real care for humanity. They were real pillars for their community. Much like Wagma and United in Service for Humanity, they too fed and medically served the homeless, helped the refugees, volunteered at charities, raised funds for those suffering overseas. Their hearts ached for the poor and suffering, and their service was not limited just to Muslims. Their service reminds us of the service of Abu Bakr, one of the greatest companions of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, who was known for his service. And once, after being oppressed for a long time, when he was leaving his city, non-Muslims came up to him and stopped him and said, "What are you doing? You cannot leave. If you leave, we all lose." We hear these same sentiments from Chapel Hill and from North Carolina and from the communities. If you leave, we all lose. They had real impact on the communities where they lived. They lived their Islam. They honored our beloved Prophet. Dia was known to meet strangers with hugs. Yusra was known to put benches in parks And Razan was known for saying, "Live in such a way that if someone spoke badly of you, no one would believe it." Yet our national mainstream media has been completely biased on the covering of this story. If a Muslim had committed this heinous crime, it would have been on national television for days and days to come. Yet these stories have hardly been heard. We often hear the quote, "My country, right or wrong," but we never hear the full quote of Karl Schurz, who is one of the senators from late 1800s, who said, "My country, right or wrong, if right, to be kept right, if wrong, to be set right." I hope and pray that in the light of this incident, our mainstream media is set right. Our mainstream national media must stop perpetrating deep prejudices 24 hours a day, focusing on overseas criminals who claim to be Muslim, bringing Islam as a religion of 1.7 billion Muslims to trial every single day. Those seeds of hatred are causing an ever-growing number of attacks on mosques, Islamic schools, and Muslims across the nation, most of which goes uncovered. If the mainstream national media continues to talk about Islam, then it must engage American Muslim scholars and imams to join the conversation. If we are to look for this information, there are thousands and thousands of lectures and sermons condemning evil and promoting good by American imams across America just on YouTube alone. We find the words of experts who are actively teaching Islam in American mosques and preaching love and peace for all of humanity. But these voices you never hear on the mainstream media. These voices must be heard to separate real Islam from the actions of those criminals. The mainstream media also try to pass this great tragedy as one of a parking lot dispute. A parking lot dispute does not cause young sisters to be afraid to put on their hijab, or young brothers to be afraid to wear their beards, or for parents to evaluate the safety of their children in this country. This was no parking lot dispute. Yet, if we listen to the grace of the beautiful families, the grieving beautiful families, they don't want revenge because they too live their Islam. And revenge is not the Islamic way because they know that God says in the Quran, "Reply to evil by that which is good, and then your enemy will become a devoted friend." Chapter 41, verse 34. All we need to do now is to avail this window of opportunity to bring down the walls of hatred and prejudice and come together as in Thomas Jefferson's dream when he endorsed freedom and protection for all religions, including Mohammedans, as in Muslims. In the words of Yusr, growing up in America has been such a blessing. It doesn't matter where you come from. There's so many different people from so many different places of different religions and backgrounds. But here we're all one. Please welcome Nadine, who personally knew the families, to share a few words.
Hello everyone, thank you for coming, despite the weather we are in right now. To be honest, I've been at a loss for words and thoughts, and life has just not been the same ever since this tragedy that happened on February 10th, 2015. I have known Yusr and Razan Abu Salha since I was 4 years old. We both grew up together in Virginia, and while knowing someone as a very close friend and a sister for 18 years, it's very difficult for you to move on. And it's even more difficult to see their lives taken away for the reason that it was. And I would rather not really focus on why it happened. I feel like I would be doing them more justice by sharing just some memories about these two beautiful people, Yusr and Razan, and Yusar's husband, Dia Barakat. So as I was thinking about just all the memories that we had, thinking about when we were kids, just playing, not really fighting, but we would always just, tease each other and, just like any regular kids. It was just in 2013 when I had sent her a message, finding a picture of us when we were little, showing these memories that we had together. And we talked about how excited we were. We were excited that we were moving into the professional field, or wanting to move into the professional field. At that time, she was still studying for the DAT, for her entrance into dental school. And it's very hard when I go back and look at these text messages and emails and cards and everything that I get from her. But it all makes sense. And I could not be more proud and honored that I've been given this opportunity to know these amazing two people. And from what I've heard of Dia, from Yusar, an amazing man, they were truly sincere, inspiring, motivated, beautiful, honest, close, and just amazing people. And Yusar was always my motivation. I could never do what she was doing. She was always motivating me to do what she was doing. And I'm not sure if I was even able to live up to what she has done. But that's what I strive for, and I think that's what so many people now strive for, and that makes me even more proud to see how much they have impacted so many lives, and how so many people all around the world now know of who Yusar, Dia, and Razan were. And I hope that they will never be forgotten, and I hope that we will all